Recently, all new Venom concluded after 10 issues in time for a relaunch for Venom number 250, and I had a few thoughts on it. To quickly summarize, all new Venom is built on the status quo after Venom War, with Eddie Brock, the usual host of Venom, bonding with Carnage, and a new person stepping into the role instead. Al Ewing is the writer, collaborating with artist Carlos Gomez. I quite liked Ewing's work on Immortal Hulk along with other Venom comics, and I think Gomez is a great artist. But unfortunately, while I think this comic has a lot of good, it feels frustratingly like cleanup duty for different writers rather than a whole text by itself. The first 5 issues primarily build up a conflict with Scar, the symbiote containment and rendition department, along with the mystery of who Venom's new host is. Personally, I thought it was a bit obvious immediately due to Dylan staying with Paul and MJ, but on the whole, this section does a good job establishing Venom's love for Dylan and how far they're willing to go to protect him, and I think the actual mystery is decently embellished while having some superhero antics in the meantime. That said, reading these issues in real time was a little frustrating due to the pacing and release schedule. I spoke on this a little when I was critiquing mainline Spidey, but the difference in presentation between the 60s through 90s versus now means that there is a lot more visual impact in stories at the price of plot progression. This reads much better in trade paperback form, which I suspect it was designed for. Where things really start cooking is once it's revealed Venom is MJ. Issue number 6 is an extended conversation detailing how they were brought together, with flaws in the jackpot device forcing a bond at the molecular level. Essentially, this issue and the rest of the run serves as a course correction for MJ's writing during the Zeb Wells run and subsequent Jackpot miniseries. The flaws in MJ and Paul's relationship are made more prominent, with MJ actually getting a decent amount of subjectivity that she was lacking before. With this bit here, where MJ returns home, but feels terrible for not caring about Paul's concern for her. It helps to show how codependent and toxic their relationship is for both of them. They were brought together under extreme circumstances both in and out of the story, and ultimately are staying in a holding pattern to avoid the reality that they shouldn't be together. I really like how Ewing uses Venom as a way to help MJ process these feelings. While a bit of an odd couple relationship, reflecting how Venom's exterior body is more masculine to show the disconnect they have with MJ, they ultimately have a much less toxic relationship because of how Venom, more often than not, is the one reliant on a host for complex thoughts and feelings rather than being the one in control. This helps bring MJ to the realization that she's been following in Paul's lead through trauma and grief, and running away from her responsibility to Peter and how much he's been hurt, directly tying into her trauma of her family. The breakup with Paul is so well written, it takes into account character details with MJ that have been missing for years, and still has her convey those feelings of empathy and compassion for others she's always had, while firmly asserting what she truly needs, which isn't Paul. The last conversation between MJ and Venom is also really solid, notable for directly acknowledging MJ's long-standing fear of Venom and how hurt she was by how they treated her. She compares Venom's treatment of her directly to her father, very notably contradicting the way One Moment in Time tried to present Spider-Man as allegorical to that abuse, and interrogates the relationship between Eddie and Venom in a way that helps thread together a lot of disparate symbiote canon. Venom's love of Eddie is very real, and how Peter discarded Venom is a real pain they carry as they gain subjectivity and perspective, but it doesn't fully excuse Venom's role in enabling Eddie's toxicity at the time. Like MJ having a responsibility to acknowledge how she hurt Peter despite circumstances, Venom too has a responsibility to acknowledge how they hurt MJ along with protecting their son. All these scenes are really great, and I appreciate how they bring back so many elements of MJ that I loved which had been scraped away. But even still, I think having MJ as a superhero long-term is a poor fit. The vast majority of the Scar events could have happened with anyone as Venom's host, with no real connection there to anything MJ has really experienced. The further we move away from Paul, the less sense I feel this direction has. It's unsurprising that all of this re-establishment of MJ is taking place in what amounts to a spin-off series, since editorial has routinely made it blatant how little they care for the character in mainline, whereas Ewing cares a great deal for character logic and basing that in established canon. When you contrast with current Amazing, which I personally feel has terrible character and plot writing, All New Venom certainly reads a lot better, since I do actually care what's happening in it. But it can't help but still feel like a holding pattern while the expected resolution between the two parts of the center of the narrative is denied. All this growth and nuance with MJ is effectively funneled into more manufactured drama in mainline, with this scene in 973 having MJ start to actually try to make amends, only to get a door slammed in her face because of some other unrelated nonsense that's supposed to eventually build to Amazing 1000. MJ's writing is all cleaned up and good to go, and she gets treated terribly because of it. Some great end to a story, huh? Ultimately, I think I tentatively recommend all new Venom, so long as you set your expectations in check. It's not entirely what Spider-Man needs, but it does have effective character writing, and I did mostly enjoy reading through it, and am willing to give Ewing the benefit of the doubt for the future of this direction for the character. Goodbye, Paul, please never come back.